Welcome to the Rewilding Womb, a space where birth, body wisdom, and feminine power are remembered and reclaimed. I'm Sabrina, an out-of-hospital midwife devoted to physiological birth, deep listening, and protecting the sacred threshold of pregnancy, birth, and postpartum.
And I'm Danielle, a photographer and doula, here to witness, support, and document the raw, transformative journey of being a woman. Together, we're having honest conversations about birth, postpartum, boundaries, and what it means to return to our instincts in a modern world.
This is the Rewilding Womb, where we trust birth, honor the mother, and come home to ourselves.
Hello. Today, we're talking about the sacred space of pregnancy and birth, a time where women feel more vulnerable than ever, and then also more powerful than ever. We'll explore what happens when the village disappears, how boundaries protect us, and how some online spaces feel like a lifeline. So today, we're going to go over some topics about why women become vulnerable. We're going to talk about some online communities that can have some red flags that you may want to watch out for, and what true support looks like. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we can just go ahead and start off with why women are vulnerable in the first place. And I feel like I can touch on this a lot because I am that connector. I like to have that connection. And when I feel like I don't have that and that village or the family that's close by or some friends that I can call on that can come over to my house or have certain providers or therapists around that I can connect with, I will go and search online communities. I mean, we all do that. We're in groups. We have these groups that we are associated with parent groups. I'm in like ADHD, neurodivergent groups with my children, so I can better understand my children through other people's experiences. But basically what it is, it's like a loss of community. And I think society has made it so hard for us to connect with each other in such a authentic way. Like it's just everything surface levels.
And it all started with the
Yeah.
breakdown of the family.
Yes.
And segmenting families
Right.
off from their extended families.
Yes.
This
Yes.
started decades ago.
Yes. And when we talk about boundaries, you create boundaries, and that boundary can be your closest family members. So what happens there? So now you're disconnected because I'm like, okay, I'm going to set some boundaries with, my aunt, my mom, or my mother-in-law, my sister. But then you're lacking that connection, that community still.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk more on what happens in that case. So going back to the online stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, reaching out to communities where you can feel seen and heard and understood, and there's stories that you do resonate with. And so that's something that we will touch on a lot today, I feel like.
Yes, definitely. And from my perspective, another reason that women are becoming more vulnerable, first off, birth is just a time that requires great vulnerability to allow your baby to come out.
Yes.
But what the medical system and some midwives have done to women has made them fear something. So they're running into the arms of maybe not great places and safe places,
Right.
or wise places.
Right.
And so medical trauma, the abuse that the medical system has inflicted upon women, especially and mostly during pregnancy and childbirth, because like we've talked about before, the way a woman is treated during her time of labor and birthing it will affect her for the rest of her life. And so when women are traumatized because of subjugation to an authority that does not care about her experience or respecting her or does not value her opinion and completely disregards everything, like we've talked about before, like these women are disconnecting, and women don't want to have anything to do with that.
No.
And so that's another reason that's causing all the, women to then go to the internet to find that community because they're afraid of what they've experienced or they've heard about.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just, there's just so many layers to,
Yes.
to women looking for, it's kind of like looking for love in all the wrong places.
Right. I know. And yes, and I do it too. I've done it. I have. Yes, absolutely.
In certain levels.
Yes. I mean, I searched and I've belonged to groups where I'm like, you know what? I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. This isn't for me anymore. And at first I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, I'm a part of this group, these women, I feel heard and supported.
Yeah.
And then something happens where you start to address your opinions. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, oh no.
You start asking questions.
You no longer have your opinions. And it's like, absolutely not. Like, they're like, oh no, we don't agree with you on this. Oh, or I have, we're going to talk on this too, but like left comments or get deleted. I mean, I've been banned off groups because of my thoughts on certain topics, medications, vaccinations, things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, hold on a second. I thought we were a healthy, holistic group. And why am I being attacked? And then why am I being silenced?
So that, and we're going to touch base on this later, red flags.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Like when certain people are being silenced and there's not a healthy discussion.
Right.
Or certain people just disappear.
Yes.
Yeah, those are red flags.
Absolutely.
I think about this as like, I'm always talking about women giving their power away. And it's not like we're willingly choosing to give our power away. It's just a matter of like, we've been so conditioned to trust the experts, trust the doctor, trust the midwife. And so what we have is like a loss of true interconnection with ourselves. And we have a society full of women and people in general that they don't really deep down know who they are, what they really think and believe about a lot of things. And the majority of people do tend to want to follow and fit in with a crowd, fit in with a group. And so, when we're giving our power away to the medical system, we're experiencing abuse and things like that. The truth is, like, I just have to say, like, doctors have a fear of labor for a reason because sometimes birth can completely flop on you and you have this beautiful natural process happening and then suddenly something can happen and we have lives that are at risk and action must be taken within minutes.
Right.
And so so I try to tell women who are like so dead set against the medical system of like, you have to understand their perspective of where they're coming from. And, first off, it's a system. They get set in their processes and their procedures and their, and they're just, that's just what they do. And a lot of times they will slow down and they will like help you through your process a little bit more slowly if you have advocates on your side. This is a whole nother thing about preparing. But they are fearful of birth because birth is completely unpredictable.
Yes.
And so I am, from a midwife perspective, so supportive of empowering women, helping them find out who are they, what do they truly deeply think and believe about things. But also, my job as a midwife is to make you understand, like, birth is never without risks. Neither is driving a car.
Right.
We are selecting risks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, doctors fear birth and sometimes overstep their boundaries because they understand how risky it is at times. And then, of course, out of their fear of a process, not a respect for it, but it's a fear of it, they overstep and they do things that are completely crazy that are then causing women to run from that system.
Right.
Which is so...
Yes.
Then putting them in another dangerous place.
Right. And that's another topic we're going to be talking about right now is the whole influencer approach, the social media, the online communities that people are buying into, that are educating themselves through these communities that are not medically trained, which I with me, as I call myself the birth keeper, have a lot
let's
of...
talk about that.
Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about this. So back in 2018, I had come up with the term for my business, my new venture with birth work, strictly with birth work, called the Birth Keeper. And so Janine Baker, she is a midwife, a beautiful midwife that has passed away. But her teachings were so impactful. Her books, just the way she talked about women and their power, their strength, about the earth, the beauty in birth. And so, like, as a birth photographer, videographer, and as a doula, I was like, I love that. And she called these women that walked beside other women through their journey, through trying to conceive, to pregnancy, to birth, to postpartum, through all the journeys that women go through. She called them birth keepers. Like, we're the keepers of the birth space. Like, we honor and trust and support the women that we walk beside. We know that they can do it, that they are empowered, that they can have the education to birth the way they would like to. And that is the supporting them during that time. Has nothing to do with midwifery, medical care. Midwives are trained to handle certain situations. When there's something that needs some assistance, women need a village in their birth space. Women are not to birth alone. I'm sorry. I mean, I have some strong opinions on that. And I know there has been a recent movement called the Free Birth Society that have turned the word birth keeper into something that people had to buy into, to pay thousands of dollars back in 2020, called the Radical Birth Keeper Training. Granted, in 2018, when I came out with the Birth Keeper, I was noticing people were taking a lot of hits on my website. My videos and images went viral. And I noticed that people were starting to look into the term birth keeper. And I thought that was beautiful, honestly. I'm like, oh my goodness, yay, we're going to have more people out there supporting women and showing beautiful images and videos. And I just felt so good about this because it's not a trademark. Absolutely not. Janine is the one that created that term. And so I just, in respect to her, I found that so beautiful.
Yeah.
But then when I noticed that the Free Birth Society in 2020 came out with the Radical Birth Keeper Training, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Now, I don't follow Free Birth Society very, very closely, but I know a lot of people do. And so when I don't know what they were starting to talk about during that education course that they were holding. I don't know what's in there, but I can tell you from what I have read recently in articles from...
And women coming out and telling their stories that were on the inside.
Yes. What was being said in that training made me upset. Like it broke my heart.
About what they're doing to that term.
To the
that
term.
Beautiful term, birth keeper,
Yes.
what they've turned it into.
Exactly. Exactly. And Sabrina, if you want to speak on that too, because you know a little bit what midwives are saying about that term, and why this is happening in a way, why women are going through these trainings, that they have to complete these trainings and pay this money to a group to have that term birth keeper, to be a birth keeper. That is not how, that's not how it should be at all.
I'll try to keep it really short and sweet because I could go on a tangent for an hour about this. But what I'll just say is, having actually been an actual legal midwife for 9 years now, and then a student for 4 years before that, truly serving women in the capacity of an actual midwife who has skills and experience and has gone through the trenches of literally, being at the feet of laboring women. For the last 3 years or so, those of us midwives in private groups who are actual legal midwives who have gone through the trenches and trained under multiple midwives and, did all of these medical trainings to know and have the skills to save lives if needed. We have been realizing because the women are coming to us for another birth later on, or they're coming online and they're sharing their experiences. I've had so many women contacting me and just being like, hey, can I ask you a few questions about something? And so those of us midwives across the United States are realizing that there are women who are calling themselves birth keepers that are disguising themselves under this term as an actual midwife with skills and experience and the capability to keep women safe. And they're charging as much as we legal midwives are charging. But then they're experiencing a lot of bad outcomes. And so we're having a lot of babies that are maybe not surviving their birth passage. We have women that are having major complications and barely making it to the hospital in time. And so what this is doing, it's going against what those of us who truly are birth keepers, be it a midwife or a doula or a photographer or a loving family member who's here to hold your space and love you through this big process. That's a birth keeper.
Exactly.
And so those of us who are truly pouring our heart into this work, it's so saddening to us that we have women that are stealing this term. And what we want to do is bring empowerment, joy, happiness, excitement to birth. And knowing that, in my experience, like 99% of the time, it's a beautiful event that needs no medical intervention. But that 1%, when it might need medical intervention, that's a big deal. When you have, most of the time, I can totally just sit on my hands and not do hardly anything. But those times when birth does go from being beautiful and this nice event to suddenly there is a problem. And if you don't have somebody there with skills and knowledge, lives are at risk. And so that's what us midwives are realizing. These so-called birth keepers are causing damage. They're causing harm. And that's the opposite of what true birth keepers want. We want a healthy mom and a healthy baby. We also want these families to have great experiences that they cherish and that are positively transformative for them. But when we have these birth keepers out here that are disguising themselves as knowledgeable midwives, and then something bad goes on and they just throw their hands up and are like, I don't know.
And then let's talk on that too with going back to Free Birth Society.
Because that's where this all came from. It stemmed from that organization charging money and teaching women how to go get clients.
A birth keeper. Absolutely.
But they're not teaching them actual skills. The two women who are teaching these things are just moms. One of them's obviously, has great pregnancies and great deliveries and has had lots of unassisted births. And the other one doesn't have really any experience in unassisted birth and has had what it looks like from the limited knowledge I've been able to access, like hard deliveries that have required medical intervention. Right. And so some women are going to birth beautifully, uncomplicated, and they might do that 10 or 12 times. Yeah. Some women struggle and have a hard time with every single labor and birth that they have. Right. And so, yes, in a beautiful, perfect world, women would just go through a pregnancy and have babies totally uncomplicated. However, that's not the world we live in. Yeah. Our world is fallen and it is complicated, and our environment is a struggle to stay healthy and well. And pregnant women have so many challenges to help for them to grow their babies in a healthy way, and to so much psychological stuff that women are needing to overcome in order to let their bodies birth their babies. And so it's not just so simple to be like, birth is a natural, normal process. Yes, it is. But without the right guidance through that process, from someone who's experienced and skilled, you could be like going into some very dangerous territory. And women, because of Free Birth Society, are not being told like the true risks of what birth can be. And I'm not here to put fear into women, but birth requires respect. It's not a fear. We don't want you to fear birth, but we want you to respect it for the huge event that it is. Absolutely. And
life-changing.
It's very life-changing, and it can change in seconds. It can go from beautiful to, oh boy, okay. But see, like as a midwife, I have honed the skills of being able to calmly and confidently say, okay, your birth is veering outside of what is normal and healthy, and what I'm seeing requires this action, and I can do all of these things with fully informed consent from my patients. I'm not doing things to them to save their lives that is against what they want. They are always saying, yes, that's what I want. Yes, do that. And so one more thing I'm thinking of right now is, I see this all the time also in midwifery circles, is this patient is refusing blah, 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 and I'm just going to drop them from care. And I'm like, listen, if we truly valued each woman and we were truly here to serve women, and we helped them to understand, I am not your boss. I am here to be on your team. Me, you, and your support people, your partner, whoever your closest people are, we are here to help you have a healthy and safe pregnancy and birth, where you're being respected, your baby's born gently, and I don't have women that fight against me because they know I care about them and I'm not lording over them. And so this is the thing. It's like, it's about relationships, and women are lacking relationships, so they're seeking that out somewhere else. And they're not really fully realizing the full gravity of sometimes of their choices until after maybe they've had a really bad outcome and they don't have a baby to keep. And then they start questioning, and that's what's happening with this Free Birth Society. Now we've been 5 years down the road, and women are coming out telling their stories. And what's terrifying is when they try to tell their story within the groups, they're being blocked, they're being deleted.
That's what I was just going to talk about, is the shame aspect of this. You cannot shame a mother for the way her birth turned out. It breaks my heart that they have told these mothers the way their birth turns out is because of their mindset. Fault. It's their fault. It's your fault. The way you were thinking about your birth.
Development or some nonsense.
I'm like blown away by that. Instead of respecting how it unfolds, and how our body, how we evolve from an experience and what we are being taught. I'm not saying that what happened was tragic. You can be taught a lesson. That's not what I'm talking about. Yeah. But just like with my traumatic first birth,
it's lived experience.
It's an experience that I went through and I learned through that. And I'm like, you know what? Without that experience, I wouldn't be where I am today. And the work I have done on myself, for my children, for my family. And if someone, a company, I'm going to call it a company, a business that is going to shame these women and say, it's your fault, and not give them the opportunity to sit with what just happened, support them, love on them. That's what you're there for. They talk about community, sisterhood. What is happening? Well, how can you do this to women? Like, and then condone, like, talk about being a birth keeper. I mean, just like it has really, it's upset me. It's very, because I'm feeling for these women. And when I read that article, and it wasn't just that article, there were women I then saw commenting that were actually posting things on social media, tagging and saying, I tried commenting on their pages or their content and I'm being deleted. I'm being blocked. Why? Can they honestly tell us why?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that? Why?
Because if you truly are a birth keeper and what, the truth is we're not in charge of like how things go. No. Me as a midwife, I am here. I have skills and I will intervene to save you and your baby. But you know what? Sometimes there are things that are happening that are completely out of your control.
Right.
And that's why there is fear in birth, especially within the medical system, because they see it all the time.
Right.
Like our hospitals here deliver 100, 200 babies a month.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they see enough volume that they understand the risk of it. And so anybody who doesn't understand that birth is risky and that lives can be lost in the process are very naive and don't have any idea what they're talking about. Right. And so, as a mother who has supported a daughter as her mother and as her midwife to walk through like the loss of a child in the medical system. I wasn't going to cry about this, but it's just so like actually as a family walking through that in the reality of the gravity of actually losing a baby, not my baby. It was my daughter's baby. But the thing is like, that is so huge. And to like be able to like, first off, survive it. I've been through a lot of crap in my life, but that was the hardest thing I've ever lived through. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, even harder than being a 15-year-old single homeless mom. You know what I mean? Losing that grandson, my first grandson at birth was like the worst. And so for these women over here to downplay that to the women who have entrusted them for months or years and have paid them large sums of money, and for them just to cut them off, like, you don't belong here anymore. Your comments aren't allowed, and just for those women, I'm just thinking of those women have lost their child and now they've lost the only community that they thought they belonged to. That's like 2 deaths that these women are suffering through. And it's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. And it's almost worse than what the hospital's doing. Right. To be honest with you, it's almost worse than what they're doing because it's radical. Like they call their stuff radical. That's radical. That is like, I don't care about women. I just care about what I'm trying to push, my agenda, the propaganda that I'm pushing. And I have downplayed the risk of what birth really can be. And when women experience that, I don't want anything to do with them anymore.
Right.
That's criminal.
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. I honestly don't know that mindset. I don't understand it at all. I mean, I don't know if these women have how many women they've walked beside or if they've had these situations, I want to know how they handled certain situations. If they did walk beside women that had a loss, that had something traumatic that happened. And then I'm not saying that the hospital, like, yes, they see a lot of the volume of women that come in and birth their babies. And I will say they do see a lot of trauma in the hospitals because of their interventions. I'm gonna say that because I don't want women to fear birth listening to this, because what happens is all the interventions that play into the trauma. Yes, absolutely.
100%.
So, but a natural, med-free, like doing as your body allows you to do with your birth, when baby is ready to come, your risks are so much lower than trying to intervene and get things started when your body's not ready.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that we were talking about that topic, about birth, but like when it comes to the life and death, it's just, I walk this line of, I've been a birth photographer for a long time, and I have attended births where babies don't make it. And I have walked alongside these families, and I have documented and recorded the baby's last breath.
Mm-hmm.
And I have watched these videos and seen these things happen. And I provide these families with these images and captures and a village, or just this connection that they can come to me. And I hope they feel that way. I hope they feel that when they looked at those photos, and I hope that they felt that type of support that I was hopefully able to give. But I couldn't imagine being a company that is saying they're birth keepers and to just leave them alone to figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
To block them, to remove their comments, to remove their concerns, to say, hey, I was part of your village for years, and my story doesn't matter. My baby doesn't matter. That is terrible.
It's horrible.
It's terrible.
It's horrible. And I didn't follow this group. I don't follow the women. I kind of heard about it mostly through midwifery groups over the last several years. I've heard clients talk about what they're learning from following these people.
Yeah.
But reading and listen, anytime I see an article in the media, I kind of take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
And I'm like,
So
you know what?
too.
Because they can slant anything to make it go whichever way they want.
Right.
So when I first read this article, now this article was written by a UK publisher. And so that's different because over there in the UK, midwifery is a normal. It's very normal over there. And so I kind of sat on it for a while, just, thinking, this, who knows how this is.
Yeah.
But the more you research it and the more you find all these women coming out of the woodwork saying, this is my story, it's just really heartbreaking. And then some of the women are sharing like this. I lost a baby, and during my labor process, this was my communication with the leaders who took a lot of money from me and I have supported the last several years. And these women are giving medical advice that they have no business giving any this medical advice. And these women were in clear, way outside of boundaries of what is healthy, safe, and normal. Right. These women, most of these women who are coming forward and sharing their actual conversations were very clearly way outside of the normal, natural, physiological birth scenario. Right. And should have been going into the hospital for assistance days before. Right. And so it's just really disturbing to me that these women who hadn't really they didn't really have any, and I know they've kind of pulled back a little bit since these women, their clients have been coming out since March. Yes. I think they've kind of pulled back a little bit and realized they might have overstepped a little bit, but we shall see what comes of this whole thing. But it's really sad to me about how the women they left the medical system, but then they're giving their power away to these other women. And that brings me to the thing of always trusting your own gut instincts.
Right.
Because some of these women who are coming out, they're like, my gut told me I needed to go to the hospital days earlier, but they kept telling me that this is normal and safe and totally normal.
Yes. Yes.
And so I didn't go to the hospital when I felt like I should. And so that's what I try to instill in women all for the whole months of their pregnancy is trust your gut.
Yes.
Because I can tell you what my opinion is. But if your gut is telling you something totally different, we have to trust that above all else.
Absolutely.
And so when we have doctors saying, you don't know, we know better. And then we have these online communities saying, information's being presented to them that is clearly not normal, not healthy, and not safe. And they're like, that's normal. That's safe. Don't go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman is saying, but my gut tells me I need to do something for my baby.
Right.
And these women are saying, oh, no, this is normal. Women who've never met them in real life.
No.
They don't know. I mean, I am just floored.
I am too.
And so I just
it's yeah. And that what's hard, what's sad is this is building a birth, the house showing that birth, because there's free births that happen all the time and they go just beautifully. Oh, yeah. And women that do know and understand, but they're trusting their gut. They are trusting their intuition.
Yes.
And they know, hey, I'm going to go ahead and have this free birth. I'm going to have my mom here, my sister, my husband, my partner. I'm going to have the people here I trust. But if I feel like I need to go to the hospital for some assistance or look into like, hey, I don't feel right here. They know that they can transfer and go there on their own if they feel like something is off.
Yes.
They trust themselves with their decision.
That is the most important thing.
It is. Yes. It's not trusting an online community, social media, an influencer. Yeah. I post things on my page and I have a pretty big following, but I don't, my information I share, the images, the stories that I share, every birth is different. What I'm putting it out there is for you to watch it, to educate, to write something down, and then research yourself, to empower yourself, to be like, hey, I want to dig into this more. I'm going to ask more questions to other people, other providers that might have experience and see what they have to say about this. The stuff I post has nothing to do with you should do that. You need to do that. It's education.
Yes.
It's an educational piece of your birth story that can, develop from you educating yourself on that topic. And so talking with your midwives, talking with providers, talking with your doula, talking with your family members that had natural childbirth. Like, hey, did you do this? Or do you remember that? Look at this photo or look at this video, this mom catching her baby this way. Or look at this, this placenta, this cord insertion. And I love placentas. So I have lots of photos of placentas and different ways how their cords are attached to the placenta. So there's a lot of education surrounding that. So someone would be like, oh, she had a beautiful birth with her placenta having a type of cord insertion that is different. So she takes that photo I took and shows her providers or asks questions and educates herself. That's what I'm there for. I'm not here to push you. Oh, you can do this, because if that's a version of normal, which can be in a lot of ways, a variable of normal. But I want you to continue to educate yourself on that matter, not just take it because I'm saying that's just how it is. And oh yeah, that's great. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do exactly that. No. You have to think for yourself. Exactly.
Yes.
So you're not going to just, and that's what this online communities, these influencers do. Yeah. They trick these vulnerable women that want that community and that want that connection, bring them in, share all this information with them. And then some of them, like I said, some of them are great resources. They are. There's a lot of programs out there that have awesome educational birth topics that they can dive into. And again, write notes, ask questions, and keep learning. But these people have shut people out for having their opinion, or when they start asking questions. Like, what it truly is, what's the data, what's the statistics of this? Like, what happens
out of all the women you've
Yes.
educated or have followed you, how many have had great outcomes?
Yeah.
It's like my contract, every time I sit down and meet with a new family, my statistics are on there, and I update it every single year to say, this is how many people, you know, had a vaginal birth. This is how many percentage of my people transferred to the hospital. This is, you know, and when people ask you hard questions, be honest and real with them. Don't try to hide things.
Don't.
And so that's what I'm curious about. I remember there was a wise doctor. He was pushed out of the hospitals around here right after I became an actual independent midwife. But he told me when I was a student midwife, he said, Sabrina, always share your statistics. He goes, the market, meaning the women, are going to trust you if you tell them the truth about your statistics. And this is something in other businesses is very normal and common.
Yeah.
But for some reason in birth work, no one wants to tell the truth about, you know, their outcomes. And it's like, why? Why hide that? Why hide that? It's important.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And you know what? This gives me, us talking about this today, and I've been like struggling on some content lately. I'm like, I really am like, I feel like I'm in this like, this time in my life where I'm like, I'm being directed into different ways where I'm like, okay, well, I need to talk about this. There's different topics that are now coming up, and this is one of them. But it's to share experiences, that these outcomes of births that didn't go the way they wanted to, but they were able to, again, feel empowerment from the outcome through the support they were able to receive.
Makes all the difference.
All the difference. And when you're a company that talks about community and villages, and then you just
pull away from the woman who's had
woman.
A hard situation.
From that experience. What is that?
Yeah.
What kind of company? What kind of business? What kind of woman is that?
Yeah. And again, that just goes against everything that is like when your heart's really in it, and it's not about money. It's about truly helping women. That's so hard for us to watch. It's so hard for us to watch when we're like foregoing everything in our own lives to help support women and help them have a good experience. Because, you know, it's not always about, hey, I had this beautiful, complete, like, you know, in the birth world, we call them butter births, where it's just like the baby just comes out, nothing's needed, no problems, no complications. But that's not the outcome for everybody. And sometimes it's not about the outcome. It's about the experience going through it and feeling supported and loved and cared for. And that's what I know for a fact you and I bring to the table. That's why I'm always excited when my family's like, we are Danielle. I'm like, yes, okay, good. Because you and I are so genuine and real and serve our families in such a way that we know they're going to have a great experience, even if it's a hard experience, even if the family, the mom or the baby, have difficulties. That we know they're going to come out of it on the other side. Okay, they might need some kind of therapy to process what happened, but they're going to be okay because their birth keepers, their doula, their photographer, their midwife are loving on them, respecting them, honoring their wishes, even through difficulty. And that's the biggest thing that is so important. And again, it's about holding space and holding space, especially in hard outcomes, on the other side of continuing to be that postpartum support, continuing to be that space holder for unloading emotions when the woman is ready. You don't push it. You let them in their own time. But just, it's just, there's so much more to just get through pregnancy, get through the birth, and do like, Yeah, and none of us who actually know and understand physiological birth love what the hospital does, but we also know that they are the medical system and they can intervene to save lives when needed.
Right.
Now, going in that system for a normal, healthy situation you're at risk.
Mm-hmm.
But when we utilize the medical system for what they're there for,
Mm-hmm.
it's to save a mom or a baby's life. I'm so thankful for that.
Yes, absolutely.
So thankful for that. And I'm so
100%.
thankful for the doctors and nurses that when I do bring my families in there, treat our families respectfully
Yes.
and kindly
Absolutely.
and tenderly. And I'm thankful for that. But yeah, we just have to we have to start training midwives to be about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And birth keepers, it's about a relationship. This is a human experience. And pregnancy and birth and postpartum are the most human experience a family can go through.
Right.
And it's such a vulnerable time with so many hormones and emotions and experiences that will affect you forever.
Yes.
And so we want to empower the women and the families, but also, like, as a midwife, be there to keep people safe when it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
But in the good quality provider is going to know when it's time to intervene and when it's not.
Right.
And knowing that you have a provider who can intervene, but is not going to overuse her skills unless it's necessary.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And with your consent.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, yes, I'm glad. I'm glad we were able to speak on this. This is good. And then what true support is,
Yes.
So walking through women through their entire journey, no matter what the outcome is, and never leaving them behind ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all. Yeah.
All right. Well, it was nice.
You think that's all we have to say about this?
I think so.
I think for today, maybe.
I know. I'm still thinking on this topic, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that needs to come to light, but I'm sure it will in time.
Yeah. And again, we just want you, people who are listening and watching us, to feel supported, to feel informed.
Yes.
And that's something that Danielle had said earlier, is like, there's a big difference between informed choice versus influenced choice.
Right.
And we want women to experience making decisions based on being informed and not just influenced.
Right.
Two totally different things. And so anyway, we just really appreciate you guys watching, listening, commenting, sharing your stories, sharing your experiences.
Absolutely.
And again, thanks for joining us on the Rewilding Womb today.
Yes.
See you next time.
See you.